And Secretary Tom Vilsack is with us, the former Secretary, the United States Secretary of Agriculture since, I should say, not former, since 2009, Hillary supporter, a member of the Iowa Democratic Party, served as the 40th governor of Iowa from 99 to 2007. And Secretary Vilsack, welcome to the program.
Hey, it's great to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. I'm curious your thoughts on the state of the race right now, and particularly Secretary Clinton's plans to support rural communities with investments in infrastructure, mental health, and prescription drug abuse treatment.
You know, I'm spending the last 6 days of this campaign in Ohio and Iowa, traveling to small communities to make sure that folks understand that she does have a plan for rebuilding and revitalizing the rural economy that is based, in fact, on investing in new roads and bridges, sewer and water systems for small towns that will put people to work, create more efficiency in terms of us getting our products to market, make us more competitive, and improve the economy in those small towns. Utilizing our agricultural prowess not only to grow fruits and vegetables and grains and so forth, but also to convert those into bio-based products, moving us away from an over-reliance on fossil fuels and foreign oil. And you mentioned mental health. She's the only presidential candidate that I'm aware of that has come out very strongly for expanding access to mental health services and making sure that we're dealing with very aggressively the opioid and heroin epidemic that's really crippling a lot of folks in rural America.
Yeah.
So it's an easy opportunity for me to make the case out here in rural Ohio and Iowa.
So with regard to just talk about infrastructure for just a second. Donald Trump is running around saying, I'm going to spend twice as much on infrastructure as Hillary Clinton is. How does he get away with saying that?
Well, I like what the Atomic Courier said about Mr. Trump, and that is if he were Pinocchio, his nose would be long enough to be able to pole vault with it. This guy, he essentially stretches the truth and is a stranger to the truth. He has no idea what he's doing. You can't cut taxes for the wealthy as he is proposing, reduce the deficit as he has suggested he's going to reduce it, and at the same time provide a significant amount of resource for infrastructure. What Hillary's talking about is an historic investment in infrastructure. We're talking about something that's never been done at the scale she's proposed before, and she knows that it will pay for itself. If you improve our rail system, you improve our ports, you improve our airports, we're going to have a much more successful economy. We're going to have better paying jobs, and we're going to basically rebuild and strengthen the middle class. And that's what her campaign has been predominantly about throughout the last 18 months.
You know, I think the average American doesn't realize that infrastructure is almost a buzzword, that infrastructure, you know, not just roads and bridges. I would include in the rubric of infrastructure our intellectual infrastructure, which is, you know, our school systems, the ability, you know, to educate our young people and well, not even young people, educate everybody. That's part of our intellectual infrastructure is part of our infrastructure as well. But that this is the soil in which business grows, and that you know, when Reagan came into office in 1981, with this whole mantra of, you know, government is evil and government is terrible and we need to, you know, cut taxes on rich people and all this kind of stuff, which he did. I mean, you know, and we really haven't. I mean, we were the envy of the world in 1980. We had the most modern schools, the most modern hospitals, the most modern airports, and now we're not any longer after 30 some odd years of Reaganomics. Is Secretary Clinton proposing a fundamental change in that trajectory?
Well, absolutely. She's talking about an historic investment. And you're absolutely correct. And not only is she talking about physical infrastructure, but she's also talking about building our human capital by making higher education more affordable and more accessible to people. When you talk about access to community colleges, tuition-free, when you're talking about debt-free college, you're making the opportunity for the American dream available to everybody, that it wouldn't and does not depend on the success of your parents as to whether or not you're going to be able to go to school, and you're not going to be saddled with so much debt that you can't dream big dreams. She understands the connection between providing that access and making sure that it's affordable. So it's not just physical infrastructure, it's also human capital. Both of those are necessary for us to rebuild and revitalize the American economy. We're beginning to see signs of a comeback. But the reality is that what Trump is proposing is the same thing we had with Bush 1 and Bush 2. And both of those strategies of cutting taxes and deregulating major industries led to recessions and the Great Recession. I don't know why we'd want to go back to those policies that have clearly failed.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. You were the governor of Iowa for 8 years, 1999 to 2007. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've heard on the TV machine is that Iowa is, if not the only state, one of the only states where virtually all of the Republican elected officials have come out and aggressively endorsed Donald Trump. Do you know if that's the case? And if so, why would it be Iowa and not someplace else? Or why would it be Iowa and, as opposed to anywhere, nowhere else?
Well, I think the fact is that Iowa, the governor of Iowa has been governor for 23 years, the longest serving governor in the history of the country. And I think he has, his son is running the Trump campaign. Mm-hmm. I think there's an expectation that if you aren't in line, you're not only not going to assist Trump, but you're also going to irritate the governor. You've got Chuck Grassley, who's been in public office for 58 consecutive years. He, too, is on the ballot, so the expectation is that you play the party line. Yeah. They've been disciplined, no question, but at the end of the day, I like where we're headed. The early vote and the absentee vote is headed our way in terms of Iowa. I think we may surprise some people on Election Day in terms of Iowa.
Well, thank you for filling that in for me, because I've been scratching my head, and it sounds like, what you're describing is just the classic old boy network, which makes perfect sense. Secretary Tom Vilsack, the Secretary of Agriculture for the United States of America since 2009, former governor of Iowa. Sir, thank you so much for dropping by today.
You bet. Take care.
Great talking with you. We'll be right back with your calls right after this.